Okay, WWE fans, this is a Pro Wrestling Rant video for non-pro wrestling fans. Find something else, please, on the Mike Messier YouTube channel. I don't want you to be upset with wrestling talk, but here it goes. Samoa Joe, both Iconics, first Billy Kay and then later on Peyton Royce, Chelsea Green, who am I forgetting? One of the Forgotten Sons. What was his name? Wesley Blake? Was that his name? Yeah. So some Mickey James and Bo Dallas all have been released from WWE in their typical post-WrestleMania house cleaning, as people have come to call it. And look, it's nothing to get worked up about, folks. Look, it's obviously for these talents, they might see it as embarrassing or frustrating or scary to not have that consistent paycheck. But I think really, do you mind? I'm doing a video about pro wrestling. I think that for these talents, they can see it as an opportunity, and we don't know the contractual agreements. Here's the thing, any talent that goes into the WWE cycle or system and comes out the other side, unless they've been really red roostered, meaning, given a horrible gimmick that they can't ever overcome, like Terry Taylor and the red rooster gimmick back in 1988, all these talents typically benefit from their exposure in WWE. Meaning that Samoa Joe has much, much, much more name recognition to the typical person in the world now than he did before he went to WWE. Now, you can make an argument that, hey, was Samoa Joe ever treated like the unstoppable badass that he was in TNA wrestling or Ring of Honor? Not really. He was treated fairly well. Never got a great title reign with the Universal title, or the WWE Bruno belt, as I call it. But I think that Samoa Joe would agree that his life and career are better off financially and from a name recognition standpoint than before he went there. And so then you always have that shtick with a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans like me and probably you, that Samoa Joe can go to an AEW, which would be a great fit, or even an Imapct, and he could pick the ball up right where he left off. And he can use that angry wrestler, angry WWE thing, and say, hey, I deserved better, and blah, 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 and I'm great, and I was never given a chance, and all that horse shit. We've heard those type of promos now for 20 years at least, of a wrestler leaving the WWE, probably 25 years, going to WCW, going to TNA, and they have the whole, the man was out to get me, and I never got to flourish. That was Christian's shtick when he went to TNA back in 2005 and or 2007, and Christian's shtick when he went to AEW. It's always the same with these guys. They're always these oppressed pro wrestlers. As far as the other people, I would love to see. To be honest, as an AEW regular in the audience, as a fan, I'd like to see Peyton Royce and Billy Kay reunited with the new name. I'm sure the Iconics and whatever the other name was, the Iconic Experience or the Total Icons or whatever the fuck they were. I'm sure that they can get another name for those two ladies. And I don't know if the names Peyton Royce and Billy Kay are C-circled from WWE or whatever the fuck. But I think that those two women would have enough of a following to be worth Tony Khan's money. And let's face facts, Tony Khan seems to enjoy hiring attractive women for his company. He's hired many attractive women, from Britt Baker to Vicky Guerrero. All types of attractive women work there. So I can see the Iconics, especially with the Sean Shears relationship as man and wife to what's her name, Peyton Royce. I could totally see Peyton Royce being the baby doll or the corner woman, so to speak, of 1994 Horseman fame, or baby doll, whatever you want to call it. I could see Peyton Royce, who actually is a pretty damn good wrestler, but I could see her in the corner of this group, the Pinnacle. Billy Kay, I like Billy Kay. I thought she was funny. I thought she was humorous and had a good honky-tonk man type style. And I could see her doing a lot of things in either AEW or anywhere else. I mean, you got to think, folks, that for the talent that are involved in this, that AEW, with their closeness and vicinity to Orlando, where the WWE was doing a lot of shows, so you got to think a lot of these talents were kind of based in or near Orlando, or they have connections to Orlando at this point. So Jacksonville, where AEW is not that far. So for a lot of these folks, they're going to be picking up the phone or hoping the phone gets called to them, trying to make those AEW connections. Now, here's the thing. AEW has already got a jacked up roster. I was at that AEW house show April 9th, and you had, a 5-on-5 match, you had a 4-on-4 match, you had like a 4-on-4 women's match. I mean, you had 3 or 4 or 5 multiple person tag team matches. So the AEW roster, it's really pretty packed at this point. And from a business standpoint, if you were to, which we're not Tony Khan with his money, but at some point, do you need to bring in every lost soul of wrestling and put them on your roster? You still have to get some people over that you've already got. They still haven't really gotten Adam Page over as much as he can be, and he's a great talent. So before you start bringing in every, the Forgotten Sons guy or whoever the fuck, or before you rebuild Samoa Joe's career, you rebuild Christian's career, I mean, you can't bring in every orphan from the orphanage just because they need a bowl of soup. And these wrestlers are basically wrestling orphans now. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of these players, namely a Samoa Joe or perhaps, a Mickie James, she could end up somewhere else. She could end up in Impact. Her services there would probably be much better than just being another veteran woman in AEW. And actually, Mickie James is married to Nick Aldis, so she might go to NWA and see if they can, revive the NWA a little bit with Billy Corgan at the helm. So, that's the helm, by the way. So it can't always be, and I think that even Cody or whoever the fuck has tweeted out about this in the past, they can't, meaning AEW, can't be expected just to adopt every person who gets shit canned from WWE. The priority, I would assume, would be the Iconics and Samoa Joe, and probably Samoa Joe first and Iconics second. So if they took those 3 talents, I don't know if Mickie James, no offense to her, great lady, great talent, Hall of Fame talent. Would Mickie James, she would probably be a good player coach for the AEW women's locker room, so I could see her coming in. So I don't know. I mean, I think that most likely AEW will satisfy Spears. I mean, the fact that Spears still has a job, to be honest, I think, no offense to Spears, but the way that he's been booked in both companies, WWE and AEW, he kind of is like the fat on the leg of the pinnacle. I mean, I could see a much tighter unit with just MJF, the tag team, the Revival, or the Fuck the Revival, Tully and Wardlow. To me, that would be a tighter union, no offense to Sean, but if Sean brings his hot wife in and she can be the baby doll of the pinnacle, I mean, it's a reference to a woman's talent from years gone by, in case you don't know, then I can see that working. Who are these other folks? Chelsea Green, quite attractive. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't she romantically linked with some wrestler? Was it from AEW? Was it, who the fuck was she fucking? I mean, with these wrestlers, it doesn't really matter because they can always fuck someone else. But, she's very attractive. She's young. Apparently, she had a broken wing, a broken arm, and while in WWE or NXT. But, Chelsea Green seems to emit star power. She would probably be more of a star or more over than 2/3 of the current AEW women's roster. No offense to anyone, but I do think highly of Chelsea Green and her talents. And her look is fantastic. She's a very attractive young woman and a great wrestler. So we could see her do something. But, I mean, once again, how many attractive female wrestlers do you need? I mean, you still have Dr. Britt. So, I could see Dr. Britt and Chelsea Green having a feud or something, but, they haven't gotten the women's belt in AEW on Dr. Britt. So all these wonderful things. I would say that if or whatever happened to Major League Wrestling, I mean, they've become kind of a fucking feeder league for AEW. But Major League Wrestling, I mean, they might be losing Harry Smith at some point, because he seems to have his finger in the dick of WWE. But maybe they should get MLW should take up some of these scraps, some of these table scraps. I watched a video, and whoever, credit to the fuck who did his video about this, and the guy was like saying, oh, it sucks, today sucks. No, it doesn't. I mean, folks, I'm doing a video, I want you to watch it, I'm talk wrestling, that's one of the components here, but am I going to personalize this situation and think that it sucks? No, because the reality is, these are grown adults, they have their lives, I have mine. And I'm not going to cry about Billie Kay trying to get a fucking job in wrestling when she can be a waitress, or she can be a dinner theater actress, or she can do a lot of things. So she'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, we can't sit around and worry about the fucking wrestlers or think that the day sucks. It's a beautiful fucking day. The sun is out. I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I just had Bojangles for dinner. Why should I give a flying fuck if the guy from Forgotten Sons, who no one knows his fucking name, just got fired? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? So grow up a little bit. If you're actually emotional, or, you know, people in the IWC, like JD from New York, or even my buddy Joe Cronin, they'll be doing videos about this and analyzing the fires and analyzing this and lamenting Samoa Joe's navel. But the reality is, it's not my fucking problem. These wrestlers can figure out their own goddamn lives. I've got my own goddamn life. Samoa Joe's not sitting around wondering, gee whiz, I'm Samoa Joe and I'm a professional wrestler, and how can I help Mike Messier market his fucking book that's available on Amazon? You know, Samoa Joe's not thinking that way. So I'm not sitting around thinking, gee whiz, what's Samoa Joe gonna do with his fucking life? I mean, he'll figure it out. You see what I'm saying? So these wrestlers, stop being fanboy fucks. I mean, I've been a wrestling fan most of my life, and I've just reached epiphany after epiphany that being a pro wrestling fan is great to an extent, but it's also limiting. It's limiting to your life. It takes up a lot of time. And don't worry about these fucking wrestlers. They will figure their shit out. And if they don't, they don't. I mean, if you see whoever the fuck, you know, if Billie Kay ends up as a karaoke hostess somewhere, that's fine. You know, if Wesley Blake from the Forgotten Sons becomes a fucking Pilates instructor, who gives a fuck? Or bags groceries for a living, so be it. I don't give a fuck. There's nothing to be concerned about. There's nothing to say the day sucks about. These wrestlers will do fine. They're all physical specimens in the prime of their life. They have no concerns. Either they'll get a handout from AEW or they won't, but they'll be fine. You'll be fine. Everything will be fine. That's Mike Messier, my fucking opinion. You can leave a comment, you know, which wrestling fire from WWE on whatever the fuck day it is, April 15th, 2021. Which one do you give a shit about the least? Which WWE person that was fired do you think most deserved to be fired? Let's be a little hardcore here, folks. I want to hear your fucking opinion. I'll just say the Forgotten Sons guy. I mean, I'll give the best answer I can, but if by the time you watch this video more names have been announced on the shit can list, who do you think most deserved to get shit canned? Which one was the biggest failure or flop? So there you go. Let's be a little hardcore. Let's not be pussyfooting around and crying a river about this shit. Let's be brutal, okay? Mike Messier YouTube channel, all the good goddamn things on my channel, the videos, the rants, the Mike's original films, the wonderment. Good night.